right, welcome back. Back to the tribe here. Moving on to our next key tenet, which is bliss. We spent the last 3 sessions on the topic of harmony, looking at it from 9 different perspectives. And now we're ready to move on to the second key tenet, which is bliss. The slides for those 3 sessions are on the YouTube channel. So you can click through and check out what it is that we were talking about. It has some of the quotes, has some of the different kinds of topics that we were discussing there. So for this one here, as we take a look at this new concept, I talked previously about how harmony is like the floor. It's like the concrete or the bricks that the foundation is built on. It is the foundation of the 5 pieces here, because if you don't have harmony in your home and yourself, it's going to be harder to try and get these things working together for you. So again, this is the tribe, and the purpose behind the tribe is just to get together and talk about topics of conversation that impact people, that have a lot of commonalities for people that just don't know about it. They don't take the time to think about it, talk about it, express those things. So we just want to carve out some time to really focus in on that while we can, and then see if we can see what kind of impact these terms and these thoughts of these other groups might have on us in our lives. And as always, here at the tribe, we are open to anybody who wants to come down, so check out the videos, get comfortable, come on down, introduce yourself, and it's a very low stress kind of a thing, just having a good time and putting together some good conversations. Again, the stated purpose being that of growth and understanding, essentially. So what I always like to do at the beginning of every session is just take a brief minute here just to clear everything else out, so that you can focus on being here at this time and thinking about the topics that we talk about. So as far as bliss in itself, come on in. The definition that I got from vocabulary.com is a state of complete happiness or joy. Marriage is often associated with this joyous feeling. People who are married and still in love are described as living in wedded bliss. Another common association is heaven or paradise, as in eternal bliss. So that's the definition that we're going to work with as far as bliss in and of itself. And the first group that I pulled some information for is the Hinduism and their concepts of bliss. If you were here for the previous or saw some of the previous slides, this Hindu slide may look very emblematic of the Norse slides of their spiritual plane with their planets and the interconnected of that. And this is, of course, the mind up through the chakras in the middle body, and then all the connection pieces there throughout. So pretty cool image there. So they have a belief in ultimate happiness. This occurs once a person has completed the rebirth cycle and has become as an Ananta deity that signifies eternal bliss. Having transmuted beyond the physical as Brahman, the ultimate reality, divine consciousness. So one of the things to think about here is, in their terms and their terminology, I've heard this before about the term nirvana. It's basically the same thing, but you can't achieve it until you're done with your physical body. Which seems okay, but...
There's no way to get ultimate happiness until
yeah,
all right,
I guess
That's the concept anyway.
yeah.
Yep.
It'd be nice to have somebody, a Hindi, to tell us exactly what it is. But what I think it is because of their belief in reincarnation, that you come back and you fix things repeatedly. So by that time that you're done, you've achieved and you've fixed those specific things. However that works out.
It makes more sense.
It's the one I wanted to start with though, because it is like sort of contrary to all the other groups that are maybe looking for bliss in the physical world, as opposed to here in the spiritual world.
Do you have a Buddhism slide coming up?
Not in this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll pull some Buddhism in later, but if you wanted to say something on that, we could pop into that now too. So.
No, that's good.
The other really quick note I had is that bliss is characteristically used in the Upanishads, which come from about the 6th century BCE, to define Brahman and simultaneously the highest state of the individual self. This bliss is identified with the bliss that is brought to the self by its release from the shackles of the body. Again, so just a little bit more in depth on that kind of a feeling. And I know that Hinduism is super close to Buddhism as well, and then one of our third group today is a Japanese folklore, which is actually represented around my office space, so that was sort of interesting. But it's the Japanese one is actually using both India and China as an amalgamation. So they've pulled all three cultures together into a concept of bliss. So it's sort of a different way of thinking about that. So, bliss in Japanese folklore, they're called the 7 gods of bliss. Group of Japanese supernatural beings who work together to create happiness or bliss. 1 is of Japanese origin, 4 are from India, and 4 are from China. And they travel on a mystical boat, and these boats are sold as trinkets on New Year's Eve to this day. It's sort of like the 7 protector spirits that help people throughout their daily lives. So if you've ever seen a little figurine that's sitting on a stack of rice, or like some of the figurines that I have around here, the fishermen and those different kind of things, those are representations of the same belief here. So they're a group of supernatural beings, 7 gods, that cover different areas: the goddess of eloquence, wealth and long life, goddess of good, that all again come together to form this group that are supposed to help people achieve that bliss. So whatever they need assistance with, let's say it's love, they would then do their sacrifices or prayer or whatever to that one of those 7 gods. Or if they needed money, they would put something under their pillow for that god to sort of get some help with that.
Does that work?
I don't know. I haven't tried yet.
It worked when I was a kid. I did it, I think.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was Tooth.
That's Tooth Fairy. Yeah. It's probably where we get Tooth Fairy from.
All right.
Probably. Another interesting fact that I found in my research with this was that all these 7 gods, or genie, as they call them also, they travel on that ship they call the boat of treasure. So, and then it's something that they buy, and then they'll put that boat under their pillow. They'll do similar things like that when they go to bed on New Year's Eve, so that they wake up the new year with that positive focus in mind.
So the boat is, they're riding around on the boat, traveling on the boat.
Yeah. So you would,
All of them.
yeah. So you would get a little boat type thing. I don't know if they do paper mache, or I don't know. I haven't seen any. I didn't find any images of it. But it sounds like a very interesting kind of a thing for like yearly blessings in that kind of an aspect.
Yeah.
There's
I wonder
7
what-
gods.
Yeah. Just a bliss.
Oh, just a bliss.
Yeah.
What's the, so it says 1 Japanese origin?
Yeah, so 1 is actually from Japanese culture. The 4 others they borrowed from Indian culture, so probably from Hinduism. And then they borrowed the 4 others from China, so probably either from Confucianism or Buddhism or something else.
Is that 9?
Oh. Yes, it is. I have to change my slide up there, yeah. I think I read 4 in my notes and put it in there, so thank you for catching that.
It's an English teacher.
Yeah, not a math teacher.
Sorry about that.
3, and 1, yes.
I was confused for a minute.
No, I don't want to confuse anybody. So, But it's good they can't see the slides completely until I put them up. So I mean,
There you go.
it'll
So
be,
smart.
it works out perfectly that way. Yes, I'll have to go in and fix that. But the thing that I was picking up on is that this is the first reference that we've had to genies and the jinn,
Mm-hmm.
and then another term for them is magi, like the three magi, the three wise men, and the term magi comes from the term magic. So there's a lot of underlying that could go out into Sufi belief, into other alchemical beliefs, into
So the genie belief is also in Japanese.
yes, yeah, which I wasn't aware of. I thought it was more mainly Middle Eastern into India.
Do you know if it originates from Japan?
Nope, I'm not sure.
The origins? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. All things to find out, but they came, as much as I can remember the biblical story with baby Jesus, they came from the east, and they came with their presence. So, and each of those for their specific purposes, frankincense, myrrh, and gold. Why they would bring those specific items at that specific time. Being somebody who practices in essential oils, we have frankincense and myrrh, and I know the properties of those, what they do for blood pressure and different things like that. So, but gold goes back to, makes me think of alchemy and other things in that area of maybe it wasn't really gold, but maybe it was something else like Sufis believe. It's about transforming yourself. Gold is the ultimate statement, but maybe it's actually about the person. I don't know. So I just found the overlap interesting on the genie part there.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go into some stuff from Socrates. So going from, Eastern thought to Western, European, into the philosophies created out by Plato and the teachings of Socrates. And in that idea, for them, again, bliss equals happiness. All humans desire happiness. Socrates taught that nobody woke up every day to be crummy. People generally want to be happy. Happiness is attainable and teachable through human effort. So for that, we then would think about how people could get there, right? We think about it all the time. Somebody loses somebody, and then you go to a grief counselor, or you do whatever works for you to try to get back to some state of that, because that's one of the most unhappy times around, right? Or think about if you were fired from a job, or lost an animal, or whatever those cases. It could be big, could be small, in those kind of aspects. But it's interesting to think that they're not wanting to wallow in any kind of an area like that. That even the most unhappy people could be taught differently. Socrates was born in 460 BCE in Greece, one of the preeminent ancient philosophers. And this is the pretty common image for Socrates right before he drinks the hemlock, the poison, because he had gone too contrary and had to be dispatched of, kind of a thing. So the notes, again, happiness is obtainable and teachable through human effort. Happiness is directive rather than additive. It depends on not on external goods, but how we use those external goods, whether we use them wisely or not. It depends upon the education of desire, whereby the soul learns how to harmonize in desires, redirecting its gaze from physical pleasures to the love of knowledge and virtue. Virtue and happiness are linked, such as it would be impossible to have one without the other. And the pleasures that result from pursuing virtue and knowledge are a higher quality than those of just animal desires. Pleasure is not the goal of existence. However, rather an integral aspect of the existence of virtue in a fully human life. So, according to Socrates, you can attain this ultimate happiness within your lifetime. And if you're a Hindu, you're working and working and working on it, then you attain it after your lifetime, kind of a thing. So, and then the Japanese have the folklore of how to sort of help you along with the seven gods. And, as always, these are just the notes that I'm pulling off of a Hindi site or, specific papers that people are focusing on these topics and in those general areas. So, if any of the information is lacking or could have better reference, of course, we can always add those kind of pieces. People see this and then have an idea about it. To add those into the comments. I have a Buddhist friend who would have a lot to say about all three of these, I'm sure. So hopefully to be able to get him over here and get into some of those conversations with us as well.
So if Socrates says that bliss is teachable, is he offering instructions in his works towards that?
He probably did. Yeah. He has a very huge grouping of files and lessons that he taught people. That's what he did. He was a teacher. So they would have, if you ever heard in school about a Socratic seminar where you sit around and discuss a topic, that comes from Socrates. So that method of having one person focusing and then everybody, bringing their information together on it. So
that was Socrates from Bill and Ted's.
Yes, Socrates. Yes, I should have put that picture up there. It's a good connection piece. So when you were asking about the Buddhism, Josh, was that just to see what they were thinking, or did you have a thought in that realm, or?
Just kind of see what they were thinking too. They have the concept of nirvana. So, I think it's similar. It might be a little different too. And then I think they also have a concept of someone who achieves or attains nirvana, but then chooses not to stay in that state, chooses to remain not in nirvana, for lack of better terms, and help other people along that path. They call it a bodhisattva.
Yeah.
It just made me think of that.
So he would be sort of postponing his bliss, maybe, to help others. Pretty altruistic.
Right.
Goes back to some of the Stoic teachings and harmony, too.
Maybe back down into the struggle to help those that are struggling.
That's kind of what I thought of too. Is that's kind of pulling back from the harmony thing.
Yeah.
To get there and then, go back into the struggle to help other people learn to be happy.
Yeah.
And you're all happy in harmony.
Yeah. And when you help others, you learn new things too.
That's right.
So.
I feel like that's also playing into virtue.
Yeah.
Helping others.
Yeah.
So,
it all really has those pieces where it all just sort of connects together, and feels like, oh yeah, why didn't I think about that before?
Like you said, I don't know, just thinking. It'd be hard to stay in nirvana while those around you are not.
especially maybe people close to you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So to leave that state, rejoin the struggle.
Yeah. And I would almost think that in both concepts that you like wouldn't be allowed to transcend if you knew that others were still suffering. It'd be interesting to find out if that's, or if it's like just a punch your ticket and you go.
Right.
I would think that they would want people to strive to make sure that everybody else is in, at least in their circle. Let's say their community is in a good staging before they transcend. Because they're only going to remember for so long what they showed, right? They're only going to remember those pieces. You know, like we go into our lodge or any lodge, and you see the pictures of all the past people. So like up our staircase with those aprons, and then in the lodge themselves, those who have passed on. I know one of them, knew one of them, right? But everybody else coming forward, they have no idea who they are. So everything that they taught and stood for is no longer there in a tangible sense. But those who remember try to pass those on, and then it just sort of goes in that aspect. I don't know, it just feels like there's just more connection and overlap again than there is dissimilarity.
Do you think that applies to you're trying to achieve bliss, and then you only get to achieve that once you've completed your reincarnations?
Yeah.
What if, does that apply to maybe you're pretty well on your way, but there's many more that need help, so you are unable to achieve the total bliss? You got to come back and go another round and maybe help those around you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that they would just let people just punch their ticket and go.
Like what you were saying,
Yeah.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, I get that feeling at least. I don't know, just from cursory studies here and there. I don't know for sure, but it seems like, it's not about the self. It is, but it isn't, because there's so many more that could be helped in that position.
The better you are, or the better off you are, the better off those around you are.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Yeah, and each person impacts so many people. So if that's a positive impact, and then that continues on and gets them at least maybe on their road.
I'm trying to figure out where the genies are going to in their boat.
Can they be like Santa Claus, and just going around the world? And
Maybe they're just all over. It seems like that would have some sort of symbolism I'm missing.
Oh, I'm
They're
sure.
like all in the same boat,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
So they're probably traveling
on the
somewhere.
same path,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
or they have the same goal, same line, or same objective.
Yeah. Yeah. So many. Like we were looking in in one of the previous sessions on harmony, and how one of the traditions was, Christmas was ancient Roman pagan festival first. That's almost what this feels like. They ride around on New Year's Eve in their boat.
Well, Japan is an island.
Giving blessings.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they were.
But Japan is an island,
Yeah.
so they would associate with boats,
Yeah.
where a lot of cultures may not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ancient ones obviously did. You got Greece, there's water everywhere, but
Let's see if my notes say if it was a flying boat.
And it kind of makes me think of
Nope, just says boat.
old Egyptian drawings too.
Yeah.
They're riding around boats a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they did.
Yeah. Now, if you get into the flying boats, then you're definitely getting into
Some India stuff.
Indian, you're getting into a lot of.
But mine.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking of the word. I couldn't think of it. Yeah. I love the drawings because they're always on ancient aliens. So it can't be anything else. It has to be ancient aliens. Could be. All right. Anything else in this introductory kind of a spot on Bliss?
Just that I liked that you gave a concept of kind of a more spiritual way to think about happiness,
Mm-hmm.
and then with Hindu, and then with Socrates, a more
Almost rational.
exactly rational way of thinking about happiness, and then the Japanese is kind of in the middle, seems like.
Yeah.
So some combination of physical and spiritual experience.
Yeah.
It's combining.
Yeah, we'll have to see in the next couple of sessions, some of the ideas of happiness for one culture may not be super happy for their neighboring culture. You know, as I'm sort of looking at the juxtapositions between them and how they lay things out. So, you know, as that clicks there. But I think initially when I was thinking of these 5 tenets, I had bliss further on, but it almost feels like it's that stepping stone for harmony. Things are good. You can't be happy if things aren't good. So now if we can get to happiness, then we can dig a little deeper into topics like faith, resolution, and freedom in those kinds of aspects. And of course, they're going to be so open-ended that like a term like resolution, automatically people are like, I don't see how that connects to what you're even talking about. But resolution is, I would assume that Socrates taught resolutions because you are resolving to do this. You are changing to move forward in this practice or those different kind of things. So I think in there we're going to have a lot more tangibles, like the last session of Harmony where we had the psychosociological aspect and we had cultural diversity aspects into these things. So, all right, so we will wrap up on that one. Always check us out on YouTube, Facebook, any of those kind of things. Again, anytime, give us a call. The number's there. You can find the contact info on Facebook, on the website, Secrets of Truth Boise. Just Google it. It'll come up. Any of those things, or a lot of the things I post on Facebook or the YouTube channel have the QR code, so you could actually just freeze your screen, pause your screen, and click on that, and it'll take you to the website, and you can ask some questions or whatever, or just come down on a Sunday and join us. So again, thanks for coming down, and hope everybody has a great weekend.